Shut the fuck up.
Michelle Halloween here, basically talking to myself until I can figure out how to get guests on via Skype, Teams, or whatnot. I'm solo, which is okay. I think a lot of us are. So anyways, I just wanted to check in. We're currently under a stay-at-home order, which just means quarantine, isolation. So I figured I'd just check in to see, if everyone's okay. I hope everyone's safe and sound out there, not going too stir crazy. And let you know that I'm okay, and my family's okay. We're all okay. Almost 2 weeks ago, I was fucking pissed. I wasn't optimistic about this. I felt like it was a personal attack on everything, which, I think a lot of us felt when all of our shit started getting canceled. But after thinking it through and actually seeing the magnitude of how this was affecting everyone, I realized just shut the fuck up and do what you're told and stay safe. And hopefully all this shit ends within the next 12 weeks and it doesn't fuck with our Halloween season. Unfortunately, I do think nothing's gonna be the same. Not sure if there's ever been a global recession before, but fuck all that. We're not gonna talk about that. Let's talk about some horse shit. I'll talk about some horse shit. Like, for example, I was going over videos of all the events that I went through in 2019 and even Twisted Christmas, for example. How gross we are as fucking humans. It's no wonder why we're in this shit, man. I get drunk and I was molesting dudes' beards. Do you know how gross beards are? My husband Chuck sneezed one time while he was eating, and all that shit dripped in his beard. I don't remember if he washed it or not. I pee on the side of freeways. I don't think that's very sanitary, but when you gotta go, you gotta go. It's probably more sanitary than a bathroom. But I do have a lot of horror stories about myself and things that I've seen when it comes to germs. I am a horror fanatic, okay? I love horror movies. I love when they make me cringe. I love gory shit. I love when it makes me go, okay, let me turn my head, but then I keep looking. But in real life, the sight of blood makes me fucking faint. And I also hate throw up. So when I became a mom at the ripe age of 19, the biggest fear I had wasn't how am I going to take care of this kid? It was, how am I going to deal with throw up? Because kids throw up a lot. I don't like throw up, dude. Ever since I could remember, I fucking hated throw up. This shit's so gross. It smells so bad. The noise that people make when they do it, it's just, I don't like to throw up. I hate throw up. So there was this one time, my oldest son, he must have been about 7 years old, and he had Arby's. Well, he got a stomach ache. And here's me, I panic when my kids have stomach aches. Fucking panic. So if you ever need tips on how to sterilize the fuck out of your house, I will tell you. I'll probably die not from coronavirus or like cancer or anything. I'll probably die from the fact that I've inhaled so many fumes from cleaning up kid barf and husband barf for that matter. Anyway, so my son Corey is about 6 or 7 years old. He had Arby's, had a stomach ache, and Chuck went in to check on him. And this kid threw up so much pink goo, it went through the fucking mattress, dude. It was so bad, we had to throw the mattress out, and even the trash people wouldn't take it out, okay? Gross. Can we talk about other people's kids who have had the horror stories where their kids just like, hey, I'm just walking up the stairs and fucking throws up hamburger everywhere? Or the time my third son, who used to throw up all the fucking time, you'd think I'd be used to it. I'm not. He decided, he was 4, he was at Sioux Plantation there with my whole family, and he was eating, all of a sudden, he just starts fucking puking. I mean, he starts fucking puking. And he doesn't stop puking. I'm dragging him to the bathroom, and I'm getting all the death stares from all the people trying to eat their food. I feel bad for the people. He's still throwing up. I clean him up in the bathroom. I'm mortified. I'm ready to go. And he goes, Mommy, I didn't get my ice cream. Never been back to that Sioux Plantation. When it comes to blood, not real life. I can deal with period blood. Obviously, I actually cherish that. But when it comes to an injury, it's a no-go for me. I don't do blood. I'm trying to think of a story of when blood made me faint without getting too graphic. I don't know if he'll mind me saying anything about this, but Corey and Cameron's dad. I think that was probably the worst I've ever dealt with. That was true life horror. Dude's partying, had long hair at the time, and he's rocking out to System of a Down. Had a lot of wild turkey that night. I didn't know you could drink wild turkey. I thought it was for like baking pies and shit. Had a lot of wild turkey that night. That fool decided he was going to headbang in the living room, and he went like this. Bam, right into the entertainment center. I'm pissed. I'm kicking him. You're embarrassing me in front of company. He gets up. I see blood. I'm like, oh shit, you're hurt. And he lifts up his long hair, and he lifted up the hair, and his fucking forehead went like this, dudes. It just went. And there was like, dude, I still get a little woozy about this one. It was like you could see his skull. Okay, so here's me trying not to pass out. He ended up getting like 44 stitches in his head. If you guys know him, you could probably still see the scar. It's like a little, It wasn't that cool, guys. But when my kids bleed, I can't look. One time, my third son fucking got a staple in his finger, and he came up screaming. Yeah, no, I don't do blood. So, yeah, I don't do real life horror. So keep that shit away from me. I used to bleach with this stuff, I used to bleach fucking light switches. It would make like permanent Halloween decorations. It's like a toxic green drip drops. Thought it looked cool, but I was trying to be sanitary. So my kids, are starting to realize when mom quarantined you in your room and she started sanitizing the house, it's no fucking joke. So you can imagine with the coronavirus shit, yeah, I'm just keeping up daily little things. So I hope you all are too. So there's that. I heard someone cough. Not gonna freak out. I don't know, it's really weird talking to myself. So I hope that everyone's actually just passing their time doing things like watching horror movies that you've never seen before. Just the other day, I admitted to a follower that I have never seen Freddy vs. Jason. And he told me, you probably don't want to tell anyone that. I told fucking everybody I have not seen Freddy vs. Jason. So I simply bought it. I watched it 16 years later. It was a really fun fucking movie. I had a really good time. I'm not a huge Jason Voorhees fan. I like Friday the 13th, 1 and 2. But I'm a Freddy girl, and I'm definitely a Michael Myers girl. So in this one, I was actually rooting for Jason. He's pretty badass, but Freddy will always have a special place in my heart. So it made me think there's a shit ton of fucking horror movies I haven't seen, and the shittier the better. So if you have any suggestions, ones that you want me to talk about on my next Talk to Yourself, whatever this is, I'll be happy to do that. But on a more serious note again, we have some dark times ahead. Again, it's not the virus that's going to have the outlasting effect. I do sympathize with people that have lost people from the virus or whatever, but we're in for some dark times ahead. And this is where the horror community, especially the Southern California horror community, and friends that I've met, or people that I've met that are horror fiends and musicians. I met a musician, or started talking to a musician who's actually in Italy right now. So getting that perspective on how things are there, because it's really bad there, is very enlightening. My buddy Chris, Strange Monkey 90, I think that's what your handle is, bro, in Florida. This is what the horror community does. We reach out to make sure everyone's okay. So I'm trying to reach out to people when I think about them, which is, I have a lot of people that I think about. So I'm like, oh, shit, let me check in. I am trying to check in with everyone to see how you're holding up. Talking to me is the best medicine. So anyways, just don't be an asshole. Your plight is not better or bigger or more important than anyone else's. Dude, this is a worldwide fucking pandemic. So when you're bickering about all the things that your kids are missing out on, it's not just them. And there are things that you can replace. Hold that prom in your living room. Has anyone not seen fucking Contagion? These are superficial things that aren't going to be important. And that's another thing. All the things that you may have thought were important and they still fucking are, it makes you kind of think, while you're sitting here in quarantine, like, why was I so worried about that when right now all I'm worried about is getting through the next 8 to 12 weeks. I'm trying not to jack torrents on my family because I am trying to fucking write. but everyone wants to fucking talk to me all of a sudden. You guys didn't want to talk to me up until I started writing. Now everyone wants my attention. So again, trying not to Jack Torrance anything. I also feel like playing the blame game at this point is pointless and not worth anyone's energy. Even Trump, I just don't feel it necessary. I can't find it within me to even complain or say you're not doing anything right, or, you know, Susie's problem is worse than Jared's problem. You know, we're all taking a hit. So don't be an asshole laying blame. If that's your game that makes you feel better, I think you need to find some other ways, because that's not going to do anyone any fucking good. I want to call on the Southern California horror community and whoever else is part of a huge horror community to be the example at this point. Witches, horror especially, and the horror community. Let's show the rest of the world how we fucking come together. I've never been a part of any group, family, anything that comes together the way the horror community does. So we have an example to set. Most of us are chilling at home enjoying our time because most of us, believe it or not, we're at all this horror shit, but we're introverts. We're happy in those settings. Most of us are introverts. I just realized that half the time, 5 days a week, I don't leave the house. Can you believe that? I don't leave the house. I've had anxiety about grocery stores for years now. It's like I've been fucking preparing for this shit. Grocery stores have scared me for the last 3 years. I don't like going to them. People scare me. Germs scare me. You know, that eggplant that I was touching the other day, I was thinking, fuck. Ew. Do you know how many people have touched that? So don't be gross. Don't be an asshole. The horror community, stick together. Send me some movies. Just one last thought. You know, sometimes, and I know this is hard for a lot of people who are addicted to being happy, sometimes you have to lose everything and you have to endure some real hardship and pain in order to gain everything that you've ever wanted. So it's a really good time to kind of just go within yourselves and figure out who you are, what you want to really accomplish, and go from there. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. On that note, I would love to hear what everyone's watching. Give me some horror movies to watch. Sometimes I could spend hours scrolling and reading. I'd rather hear from you guys, so give me something obscure, sick, and fucked. Send it to me. I also want to know what you guys are reading. Next time I'll share what I've been reading. And what are your other plans to pass the time? Horror-related only. Hope everyone's well, and I'll talk to you next time. Shut the fuck up.